the Second Amendment in the way I see it. And a lot of this stuff is sort of disjointed. I wrote it, and I've had to cut it so much that part of it I've forgotten what it means. But what does our president plan to do to us? He intends to break us. No money, no guns, no hope, no escape. That's what he's got in mind for us. He's a Muslim. Why did it take people so long to start saying that? He can't be anything else. He was born and bred in a Muslim home. He was educated in a Muslim school. And look at it. And I'm sure he wasn't born in this country. He certainly gives the Muslims the benefit of the doubt. It's estimated there are 1.5 billion of them. 1.5 billion. And they've all been to those schools. You don't hear any of them who are in this country. Do you hear their voices raised objecting to a little head cutting, a little stuff like that? There's no objection. And so for them to tell me that they're just gonna be good American citizens, I'm scared of them. I don't know about y'all, but I'm scared of them, and I'm scared of him.
Second Amendment.
Yeah, okay, we'll do that. But they are taught and believe that their destiny is to conquer the world. And don't think for a minute that's impossible. They've long been a power in Spain. They've infiltrated France, Germany, England, Sweden, Denmark, Holland, and us. The Lord knows where else. To them, we are infidels. And they're taught that there's 3 things you do with infidels. One, you force them to become Islamists. And if they refuse, you make them slaves, and they have no property, no rights, no nothing. And if the number 3 is the sword on the neck. Now that's what they think of us. That's what they preach, and that's the kind of people that our president is telling us. Oh Lord, did you hear that? He got a 15-minute telephone call from this joker who's running Iran now, and he's announced, well, that takes care of that. He got no more problem in that. They laugh at us. We've been made a laughing stock and a joke all over the world by this man. So anyway, we are already prisoners. Everywhere we look, we're subject to a government that controls us. And the government is subject to a dictator who is controlling the government. And as I said, no escape. Where do you go? We're all prisoners. Prisoners of him and prisoners of the group that put him into power. Because as he told us one time, you can't believe anything he says, of course, but can you imagine, oh, by the way, I was thinking the other day, setting up of the Syrian question. We got 3 of the biggest liars in the world getting together to settle it. Putin, Obama, and Assad. And they're going to get together and negotiate and settle that problem. It's just ridiculous. But you look at his actions. He does anything he wants to do. The law means nothing to him. The Constitution means nothing to him. And it's interesting, he started off being he said he was a constitutional instructor. And then gradually they promoted him to a constitutional professor. But you know, we can't find anything the professor taught. We can't find a single word that he's ever said, to tell you the truth. He was this community organizer, mentored by one of the biggest communists in the country. He's never done anything worth a nickel in his life. And but I tell you what, don't blink that red one. I got to cover up the red one. But anyway, but anyway, he, in electing him, we've taken the most unbelievable steps. It may in time lead to our total destruction. And think about it, the destruction of Western civilization. That's what these birds have in mind. Don't think they can't do it. In the 700s, they came out and took most of Europe, a good part of Europe. They went the other way, took part of France. They got turned back. In the 1400s, they came out and did the same the same thing again. And don't think it's impossible. While we're sitting around watching, it's orange and red. I'm ambivalent. So anyway, I'll interpret it the way I want to interpret it. But the biggest enemy that I know that we've got is sitting up there in the White House. Under the control and put into office by people who've been working against this government for decades. And I tell you, we are a long ways down and it's going to be a long ways back up. Now they pull this immigration stuff on us and brought in all these folks. Tell me how a country can absorb 40 million people. 40 million they admit to, and they come in here night and day, and we don't even know how many Muslims Barack Hussein is going to bring in here. How many y'all, we don't know what he's doing. We do not know. He can't find out anything. My wife is drawing her finger across her throat, which I hope is a suicidal meeting. But anyway, all right, I know I've got to stop. But I'll tell you what's the fact. I tell you what's the fact though, really, you bring in 40 million people, you have doomed them. Any country who does that is doomed themselves. Anybody who's gotten we've got them. We're in the biggest debt the world has ever seen to our worst enemy in the world. Now it doesn't take a real genius to know you don't borrow money from your enemy. But by George, what they're doing with it, we don't know, and where this is going, we don't know. Now I'm jumping over a bunch of stuff that's very valuable, but I have to do that, or they're gonna give me the hook. But let me tell you just one little thing about the gun thing. You know, we got a lot of big talkers, and I'm one of them. Said that ain't nobody ever gonna take my guns away from me. Well, I tell you what, they're famous last words. They're famous last words. Don't you believe for 1 minute they can't do it. Don't you believe for 1 minute it's not actively being planned. And don't you believe for 1 minute that crowd of skunks up there are not trying to work with the UN. Just like the Clintons did it. They were working on this, signing up treaties to the little old president signing up some treaty with the UN, and then he does this. Lord have mercy, they gonna get me.
You need to run for president.
They gonna get me. Yeah, but anyway, he's really ruined us, and we got a long ways to go. Now I've talked about some problems. Now let me suggest one thing, and then I'm gonna be through showing up if I cloud with I reminded you of many problems and how low we've sunk and offered no solution. Obviously, there's nothing we can do as long as we're in the hands of those who are governing us now. The best thing we can do, and unless we win this fight, we just well throw it in anyway. We've got to fight every minute in every way to get rid of anyone in our government who is double-crossing the people he's supposed to represent. I'm sick of them coming around every 2 or 3 years, grinning, shaking hands, making promises, and asking for a vote. They're never going to get one of mine. I tell you, I can't think of anybody up there right now to vote for. Now I got 5 more lines. And don't console yourselves by saying, well, he'll be gone after 3 more years. Really?
It'll be too late.
Suppose he decides not, it might be too late, you're right on that. But suppose he decides not to leave. Who's going to remove him? And how? I don't think we can catch it. I don't think we can catch it. Oh, by the way, what'd you say?
Smith and Wesson.
You know, that immigration problem. Two old country boys one Saturday afternoon could have stopped that with a couple of .22 rifles. Swimming ain't so much fun in a river when you're bumping into the body of your buddy who went on ahead of you. But we have sat over here and deliberately given this country, allowed this country to be given away. We're sitting at home, y'all are not, but most of us sitting at home watching American Idol, everything cool. And everything is not, I will just tell you that everything is not cool. We have brought this on ourselves, and I'm sorry about it, but we brought it on our children. And as I said a while ago, if they win, you won't see freedom in the world for 1,000 years, because they don't believe in it. Gene, I'll never bring you with me.
Tommy Harrington, patriot emeritus. God bless you, Tommy. That is beautiful. Sam, paint you if we meet us backstage as well. That would be great.